Okay, good morning, everybody. We Jews talk a lot. We say a lot of things. And speech is something like every other aspect of human life, Jewish life in particular, is regulated. There are rules about what you say, how you say it. And unfortunately, most people are not careful when they speak, when they say things. People make promises, people say they're going to do certain things, take upon themselves certain obligations. And generally speaking, we're very lax in the power of our speech. The halacha, on the other hand, regards speech very, very seriously. First of all, you must always be honest in what you speak. But not only that, but if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. If you say you're not going to do something, then you have to refrain from doing it. There are entire tractates of the Talmud that deal with promises. You have an entire Masechta of the Nedarim, of vows, and Shavuos, oaths. We don't even think twice. Oh, I'll get to it, or I'll do it. I promise I'll take care of it. We don't take our speech seriously enough. And I'm reminded, it's a classic story. If I didn't see it, I couldn't tell it to you. Rav Soloveitchik, that's all, would often get lost in a Talmudic discussion, and the clock had no relativity to it at all. I mean, his Yortzeit Shiur would go on for 3-4 hours, and he's just getting warmed up. His classroom Shiur also, sometimes he would get so involved that he didn't realize that guys had to go to class. And this happened once. He was a rush in Psachim about Lishma for Matzos, and he was struggling to understand that particular paragraph. Hours go by, and one of his aides says, Rabbi, boys have to go to class. It's late. And he says, okay, I'll finish it tomorrow. And he comes back tomorrow, and he wrestles with the same paragraph, on and on and on, and he still hasn't resolved it to his satisfaction. And again, it's getting late. Rabbi, the boys are going to miss class. You have to end the shiur. Well, but I didn't finish. But I said yesterday I'm going to finish. I didn't. So I have to be matir neder. If I said I was going to do something and I didn't do it, I need somebody to forgive me for what I said. In other words, he took every word, and we have to round up 3 Rosh Yeshiva and the Torah's Nedarim on the spot. Because he said he was going to do something and he didn't do it. The point is, if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. And if you can't do it, I promise I'll finish it tomorrow. That's Lashon Neder. That's Lashon Neder.
Because you said the word promise. What if you just said, I'll do it tomorrow?
Same thing. It's the language, it's your intention. The specific language that you use is not as important as, I said I was going to do something and then I didn't do it. That's the point. In other words, the whole point about what I'm saying is, there are some people who take what they say seriously. Most people don't. But if you take what you say seriously, I say I'm going to do something, and then I don't do it, I've broken a promise. Yes?
I remember, Rabbi, I don't remember the exact facts, but it had something to do with the early opinion, the late opinion on Friday night. And for some reason, he came to maybe the early opinion 3 times in a row.
Right.
He never said he verbalized it.
The chazaka.
But he had the person start after that because it's action.
Right. Okay. So all of this is in the form of an introduction to HaTorah's Nedarim, which many of us have done already before Rosh Hashanah. We have until Yom Kippur to do it. And of course, the communal recitation of Kol Nidre. Kol Nidre, in essence, is a communal hatoras nedorim. Basically, we've all made promises that we didn't keep. We all said things that we couldn't accomplish. We all made promises, we all said things, we all resolved to do certain things that we didn't do. And all of these things, if you look at the language of Kol Nidre, Neder, Shvua, all the different types of utterances that you can make, that you didn't say, Bali Neder, or you'd phrase it in such a way that when you say something, you're obligated to do it. Because it's as if you're taking an oath upon yourself. So that is the background for this custom known as Kol Nidre. The earliest mention of it is in the very, very first siddur that we have, of Amram Gaon, 9th century. But it was very controversial. The notion of a communal hataras nedarim was not universally accepted, and a lot of people were opposed to it, and it didn't become part of the official canon, if you will, the official siddur, until much, much later, although it was mentioned in the, Rashi points out, in the time of the Gaonim, they used to do it. The yeshivos in Bavel objected to this practice. They even called it a minhag shtus, foolish custom. How can you make a communal hataras nedarim? Which, if you think about it, most people, the average person, present company excluded, but the average person doesn't take what he says very seriously. And for the average person, they make promises, they keep them, they don't keep them, they say things, they don't mean them. Yeah, I'll get around to it, I'll take care of it. You know, if your wife nags you to clean up the basement, yeah, I'll get to it. And you don't get to it. Well, you've taken upon yourself an obligation that you didn't fulfill. And that's a serious offense. Halachically, if you say something, you have to mean it and you have to do it. And this is the background of Kol Nidre, in terms of hataras nedarim. Even though the Gaonim, as early as the Gaonim, the post-Talmudic period, there were some that did it, but there were some who were opposed to it. Rabbeinu Tam, one of the Balei Tosfos, objected to hataras nedarim, or Kol Nidre, as we know it, on several different grounds. Hataras nedarim, if you want to have an official, what's what I'm looking for? If you want to be forgiven for things that you might have said that you couldn't accomplish, that requires a bezdin, at least 3 people. Yeah.
Question. You seem, unless I'm misunderstanding you, you seem to be putting almost mundane promises in the same boat as something where I can see really a need for hataras nedarim. And I don't think that's a good covenant to the real biggie thingies that you might have promised to do, or even, you know, did a neder or almost a neder, but then it
Trivialized. No,
you know, the important stuff.
Okay, but that's the whole point. See, everything that you say is important.
But you can't compare like making a to-do list for today and like, which I still do, and as I like checking off what I accomplished, it's like, okay, so I'll do this tomorrow, but it's not.
This involves a much longer discussion on the significance of human speech. The fact that humans can communicate the way we do, I mean, animals communicate too, we just don't understand their communication, unless you're Dr. Doolittle. But human speech is something that is very unique, at least we think so. And therefore, its usage has to be taken very seriously. And you may think it's very mundane, but you've used your power of speech to undertake an obligation that if you don't fulfill it, then the speech has basically been false. And you need permission to say, I couldn't accomplish what I wanted to do, I'm sorry about it, I'll try to do better in the future. But you should use your speech in a positive way. It all depends how you look at human speech. On the one hand, there's nothing trivial about human speech. Just ask anybody who can't speak anymore. It's one of the miracles that we are able to communicate with one another, whatever language that you might use. But if a person can't use the power of speech, he's at disability. And we have to use our speech in positive ways. That's all I'm saying. If you say something, you have to mean it. Otherwise, you're falsifying something, you're a liar, you're all negative types of things. And that's the whole purpose of Torah Siddur. There are many different types of speech you could use. Now, Torah Siddur requires a bezdin. Kol Nidre does not have a bezdin setup. It requires charata. The original text of Kol Nidre did not have icharatna bahon, that I have regret over it. There were different languages. So Rabbi Tam opposed that. And you have to specify your Nidorim for HaTorah Sidorim to work, which we don't have. It's a generic type of HaTorah Sidorim. And also the Mishnah says you can't annul your own vows. So how does Kol Nidre work? If everybody's doing it for themselves, is a chazan doing it for somebody else? There's a halakhic problems with it. So there are ways to defend the practice. Number one, the congregation could serve as that bezdin. The chazan says it, and they're all listening. Clearly, the language says, "Icharatna bahon." I have charata. I express regret over the things that I said that I couldn't do, promises I made that I didn't keep. And also, the bezdin has to discourage the person from doing this type of behavior again. Clearly, on Yom Kippur, we all want to do better in the coming year. So there are again, the point I'm trying to make is it was very controversial in its time until it became accepted as part of our Yom Kippur davening. It wasn't automatic. In the Middle Ages, there was a lot of machloksim. Rav Amram Gaon mentions it, but at the same time, there were many Gaonim who were opposed to it. It was a regional practice which became broadly accepted. The text changed a little bit, but by the Middle Ages already, it was accepted as part of the Yom Kippur davening. It was part of a communal HaTorah Sidorim, if you will, not without objections, but it became accepted as part of the davening. The Kol Nidre, again, whether it affects the Nidorim that were taken already in the past, it also goes to the future. If you listen carefully, by the way, and this is how you can tell if the Shliach Tzibor either knows what he's saying or was instructed what to say. But the text of Kol Nidre is, the way most Machzorim have it, is Miyom Kippurim she'avar ad Yom Kippurim haba. From last Yom Kippur until next Yom Kippur. All right? That's the normal text. If you are knowledgeable and you know the Rabbeinu Tam Shita, the language of the Kol Nidre should be Yom Kippur she'avar ad Yom Kippur hazeh u'miyom Kippurim zeh ad Yom Kippurim haba. That addition has to be inserted if it's not from the past to the present, from the present to the future. The normal text just has from the past to the future. It doesn't work. You can't go from the past to the future. From past to the present, present to the future.
Why?
If our scroll has a kol hakavod to our scroll, that should in most machzorim, I don't think they have that text. Yes, Nathan.
Is any allowance made for the fact when you make a statement and circumstances change, you can't fulfill it, it's been possible or whatever happens.
Yes, but things happen. That's why you have the Torah Sedorim. You wanted to do something, and you were unable to do for a variety of reasons, but you made a declaration that you were going to do it. Requires Torah Sedorim.
In front of 3 people?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in shul, we don't have that. So there are those who want to say that the tzibur constitutes the Bezdin. And there's a big discussion in the Gemara and Tosfos about how you matir neder altogether. And the whole notion of a communal HaTorah Sedorim is not so simple. It's not so simple. Yeah.
Is the Torah Nedarim, is it for the fact that you said something that you were going to do, and is it because you said you were going to do it, and you didn't, or is it for the action that you didn't do?
No, a Torah Sedorim is for all the things that you were supposed to do that you didn't do, whether you weren't able to do it or you forgot about it, whatever the case may be. Again, it could point to the original point that our speech has to be measured. You can't just say things, stam developer. You just can't say things and not mean it. You have to take your speech very carefully. Yes. There should be 3 people standing up, not 2. They don't always do it properly. They don't always do it. There should be 3 people standing up there to form at Bezdin. But again, these are all different types of customs. The tzibur itself forms that Bezdin, if you want. If you want to use that as an excuse. Again, the Kol Nidre, if you didn't say Kol Nidre on Yom Kippur, you would still fulfill your mitzvah of davening Marav on Kol Nidre. It's not part of Marav. It's a custom that became accepted. It's also, by the way, there is something, if you study cantorial music, there is something known as Sinai melodies. A Sinai, it doesn't mean from Sinai. It just means it's a very, very old tune. And you can go to shuls all over the world in every different, and the Kol Nidre tune is pretty much the same. Because that is one of those Sinai melodies. That goes back to the 12th, 13th century, maybe even earlier. And everybody says it the same way. Again, the machlokes in the Gemara, I don't get into details of whether or not you can be matir neder for things you haven't made a neder for in the future. And how do you do that? I haven't said it yet. Yeah. I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's very similar. I'm pretty sure it's very similar. Even the words are pretty much the same. Again, there are a lot of discussions. Let's see, there's a, the whole notion of tshuva fits into to the whole business of Kol Nidre as well. How do you do tshuva for a promise that you didn't keep? The Moshe Feinstein notes that we say Kol Nidre to teach you that the value of your speech should be productive. You don't talk, you don't say things unless you have something worthwhile to say. And this is very important in general in terms of mitzvahs. You also know in almost every shul, before we start saying Kol Nidre, we say a few lines, Adas HaMakom v'Adas HaKol, Anu Matirim Hispalel Im Avaryonim. All right? We are allowed to daven with sinners. We're all sinners. And therefore, our communal prayers should be accepted. Yeah.
Why is Kol Nidre said 3 times?
Oh, good question. Why 3 times? So 3, 3 times to have a chazaka, to strengthen the power of. Normally, when you're saying certain things, by repeating it 3 times, it gives it more power. It gives it a chazaka to do something 3 times. Not that Hashem is counting, but again, these are all, it's a custom. It's not a halacha. It's a very entrenched custom. There are those who would suggest, there are those who suggest that might be added to refer to the time after the Spanish Inquisition, when there were the forced conversos, the anusim, who had come back to Judaism, and they were included. The only problem with that is we were saying this in the 13th century, even before the Gerush Sfarad took place. So that doesn't work out. Clearly, the conditions of HaTorah Nedarim, there's a whole tractate in the Gemara that deals with vows, promises, how you make promises, how you annul promises, what promises can be annulled, and you look at the language, neder, shvua, konam, all these different types of things that you say, we may not be conscious of it. We say things all the time. Yeah, I'll get to it. I'll take care of it. I'll do it. And you don't. You have basically made a promise that you cannot keep. And that's included in the Kol Nidre. So this is why there were, for a variety of different reasons, there were Hasidic Rebbes who tried to cut down speech altogether. They very rarely spoke because the power of speech is so great that we don't realize what we're saying half the time. Somebody asks you to do something, and if you don't do it right away, chances are it may not get done right away or at all. Yeah, I'll take care of it. Well, what if you don't? The yeah, I'll take care of it is a promise. It's almost like an oath that you've taken. So human speech has to be, every word that we utter should be moderated and should be measured, because halacha takes speech very, very seriously. Again, the example from Rosh Hashanah just jumps out at you. I said I would do something and I didn't do it. Oh, yeah, what am I going to do? Bring in 3 rabbis, let's have HaTorah Nedarim. So don't make promises you can't keep. Milty, yeah? I can't slip it.
If someone's
Yes,
not answering,
right.
that to me is worse.
So if someone speaks to you, you have to respond. No question about it.
Respond to somebody. You're going to say something. I'm going to say, carry out. So the one that
people, the Chafetz Chaim wrote volumes about speech. And basically, he said that every word that you utter should be measured. If you have nothing positive to say, don't say anything. If you're going to make promises you can't keep your mouth shut. The only words that you should say are things that are not going to obligate you in a way that you can't possibly fulfill it. Now, speech is something that we take for granted. Very, very often you'll hear people say, yeah, I'll take care of it, believe that. But by saying beli neder, they believe that excuses them from the obligation in case they can't fulfill it. I'm not poskening. It's a rabbinical question. Yes. I can't hear you. Well, obviously people believe by saying beli neder, that takes you out of the category of making a neder. So yeah, it's one of those popular folk beliefs. I don't know how accurate it is. Yeah. Okay, so then maybe that we have to modify our speech to say that.
So I like that's to do. I can't, and I can't.
Well, so, but then the question, how do you define trying your best? Yeah,
So on behalf of the three of us, I have two questions.
shoot.
One, excuse me, I promise this morning. Why does it, these men don't pronounce on us. Why does it have to be three rabbis? That's number one. Number two, so what is the difference between a haflacha, a neder, and a shvua?
Okay. So first of all, you don't need three rabbis. Three people are
Okay,
fine.
he says,
Huh?
you know, the women as well.
Possibly women might be excluded. I don't know if women can serve as
Doesn't
shoftim.
have to be men, but possibly women could be excluded for like.
No, I have never seen a bezdin of three women. Let's put it that way. I've seen three men, not rabbis. They don't have to be rabbis. The definition is three hedyotos. Now, a hedyot can be a non-rabbinical personality. A hedyot is also used to refer to a simple-minded person too sometimes. But clearly, it doesn't require three rabbis. And the communal Torah, so the whole Kol Nidre is said in front of the entire shul. So the shul forms the best, so to speak, if you want to be that particular. The other question was,
What's the difference between?
neder, so neder, okay. Neder and the shul, there are vows and, oh, yeah. There's a specific language that is used for each of those three things. So I accept upon myself to do X, Y, and Z is a neder. I swear I'm going to do something is a shvur. And you swear usually with the Shem Hashem. That is why oaths were very rarely used. In very rare occasions, because people didn't want to take an oath with Shem Hashem, because it's one of the 10 Commandments. If you do it wrong, which is, and that's why very often law cases were adjudicated because a person would not take an oath. If you took an oath, you were believed. But many people did not want to take an oath, and therefore they would rather split a decision and rather take an oath and get the whole thing themselves, because it involves taking Shem Hashem, and people are very wary of it.
What about a promise?
A promise is like a neder, depending on the language that you use. Or shvua has to have the lashon of shvua. There's a whole masechah that deals with that. A promise is like a neder. But at the end, if you say, I promise I'll do something, that's a neder. If I say, I'm going to do it, that's also a neder under certain circumstances, depending on what it is. That's why, going back to my original statement, human speech is something that is unique to human beings. Every animal has speech, but human speech is a little bit different. And it has to be every word, called Moses of Tishmor, you have to be careful. Every word that you say has to be measured. And that's why some people eliminate the amount of speech that they use, because they want to get into trouble. Unfortunately, if just think back, when you want to talk about something in a negative way, you refer to somebody like that talking head on television. People just talk. And what they say very often is nonsense. So we have to be measured in our speech. Don't make promises you can't keep. But if you do, that's why most people between Rosh Hashanah, or prior to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you have little groups of people gathering in shul for Torah Nedarim. When I was in Chicago for Rosh Hashanah, after Slichos, Erev Yom Kippur, the rabbi sat down with two people, and the entire congregation did Hataras Nedarim as one. Kol Nidre is a communal Hataras Nedarim, for want of a better way of describing it. And it's a very ancient practice. It's mired in controversy because of the halachos of Nedarim. But look at the words very, very carefully. and all the different languages that are used. But it says, I have bechul hon, icharat no bahon, I have charata, I have regret over doing the things that I shouldn't have done. I regret making promises that I couldn't keep. Let them all be forgiven. Now, we're not saying it in front of a Bezdin. We're saying it in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, basically. But the fact that you're saying it and there's no tribunal in front of you was controversial. The fact that it's in Aramaic points to its early adoption in Babylonia already. And we still say it, but it's a fascinating thing. You go to any shul in the world, and it's the same tune. Wherever you go, same tune, no matter where you go, which points to the antiquity and the sacred nature of this particular prayer, even though it was mired in controversy throughout the Middle Ages. But pay attention to what the Shliach Tzibur says in terms of annulling the vows from last year to this year and from this year to next year. If he doesn't say that, then he's not doing it right. But it depends on whether Shliach Tzibur is knowledgeable and if the machzor that he's using has good footnotes or not. Anyhow, it's a fascinating tefillah. There are a lot of people who objected to Kol Nidre on a variety of different reasons, but ultimately, as we've pointed out many, many times, once you have a minhag that is so entrenched, there's no way you can get rid of it, and especially once it appears in the machzor. Once it's in print, you can't stop it. It's the same way, as I mentioned before, Misha Berach Facholim on Shabbos. There's no halachic justification at all, period, self pasuk, to say Misha Berach Facholim on Shabbos. Try getting rid of it. Clearly, you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos, yet every shul in the world does it. Maybe in Yeshiva Shibinya they might not do it. But clearly, so minhagim have a life of their own. And it becomes part of the fabric of Jewish life. So I wish you all a Gemar Chasima Tova, and don't make promises you can't keep. We're better off not making promises.
Thank you, Rabbi Ali.
Thank you, Ali. I'm going to keep listening to this program.
Okay. Who's benching? Rabbi Sainevarech. Ishin Nevarach Miatov Yadola. Rishus Kol Mesubin Khan. Varech Shachal Mishalo. Rosh Chal Mishalo. Tvoch Hayinu. Ruchatod Nemachol Mazones. Olam Kula. Ki hu els on from Esla Kol Mitiv La Kol Michim Mazon Kol Briyasav Asher Bara. Ruchato Adonai. Hazones Hakol. Yeah. Ruchato Adonai al ha'ores v'al hamazon. Yerushalayim Ira Kodesh Meir Rav Yameinu Baruchato Adonai V'nei Baracham Av Yerushalayim. Amen.
So, where is this? That's my